everyone. So today I'm going to do a video. Actually, it's probably going to be a two-part video. I've been asked what the difference is between Oracle and Tarot cards and how I use them. I don't use them as a traditional method, especially the Tarot, but I'm going to show you how I use Oracle cards and take whatever you want information from this that resonates with you, and then whatever doesn't, it doesn't. So one of the first things I do when I'm drawn to a deck is I want to clear it. And for me, I believe that things pick up energy from people. So this deck of cards was in the store. I don't know how long it's been sitting in the store. People pick it up. They're transferring their energy onto the deck. I don't know if that person was having a really bad day. I don't know if they're, picking up the card and they're really feeling frustrated. That energy goes onto anything. I want to clear it, period. So there's actually a few ways to clear your deck. One of the ways is a lot of times quick and easy. It's the 1, 2, 3, the hard punch. I like to do it on the box. I'll do it on my deck of cards. A lot of times if I start to do a reading and my cards just don't feel quite right to me, I'll do the 3 taps on them to clear the energy. And what I've been told is by doing that, it just breaks up all the stagnant energy and moves it. So another thing that I'll do is I have a tuning fork. This is the crystal tuner. I don't know if it'll come up clear enough for you to see it. Might not. But this is, the hertz is 4096. So I use this a lot to clear my other tuning forks. I also use it to clear my decks too. Basically, I will just tap it on a crystal. You can hear it. And then I'll just put it over my cards, and I'll just basically set the intention that I want to clear my cards. Another way that you can do it is through sage. And this is generally the way most of the time I will do a deck, unless I'm just so eager and I want to do them right away. Then I do the 3 knocks. But usually what I'll do is I'll take some sage. If my lighter wants to work. There it goes. Get a nice smoke going. And then I'll usually take my cards and go over it. Now the reason why I like to do it with the sage is you want to, when you get a new deck, the first thing you want to do is you really want to study the cards, okay? So that's what I do when I'm clearing them. I set the intention of clearing, and then before I put the card down, I'm going to look at it, okay? It's basically trying to imprint that card on my subconscious, okay? The reason why I do that is that I have many decks, a lot of decks, and I find that when I'm working on a client or even myself, I'll be drawn to one of the decks, and I'll know that there's a specific card in there for that person. That's why I have several different decks, because not a lot of times the message, you need different decks, not just one deck. So, and it may just be a picture, or it may be actually the meaning of the card. So I'll go a little bit more into that in a few minutes. But yeah, so basically then what I do is I look at each card. So I'll sage it, clearing it. Okay. And then I'll flip it over and I'll look at it. Okay. Really imprint it on my subconscious, okay? Again, clearing, and again, looking at the cards, putting it into my subconscious. So I'll go through every one of these cards and do that. Other thing is, there is no right or wrong way to shuffle, okay? Some people can't shuffle. These cards are big. They are they're big. A lot of times they're very stiff. This deck is very stiff. I actually love the way they feel. So it doesn't really bother me. some people will just, because they can't shuffle them, they'll just spread them out and just kind of, you know, go around like this, and that's how they'll do it, and then they'll just randomly pick a card, okay? The first thing you do before, as you're shuffling, you want to set an intention of what it is that you want the answer for. I usually, I try and keep it simple. I really do. I try to keep my life as simple as possible. I usually just ask the universe, my guides, what it is that I need to know in this moment of time. So you'll see people, besides doing it that way, they'll take the deck and they'll shuffle this way. Okay, well, it's kind of hard. I'm trying to do it with my camera in the way. But anyway, and then they'll pick a card. Okay, or the card sometimes will actually fly out of the deck if it's a card that the universe really wants you to have. Sometimes you'll see it where the cards will just kind of wing themselves out. Okay, most of the time I generally will shuffle them the tradition. I call it the traditional shuffle, where I just basically break the card in half, and then I just shuffle them like that. And then I'll ask my guides yes or no whether to keep shuffling or to do it like this. And then once I get done, once my guides, I'll ask them to keep shuffling. I'll see a yes or no. If I get a no, then I stop, and then I'll pull a card. Okay. It's funny. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a card I just I had a few minutes ago. Okay, no such thing as coincidence. So I'm going to set that card aside and see what that means for me. Anyway, so that's how I do my shuffling. Again, no right or wrong way. These are nice. I love doing it this way. Some people will shuffle them. You know, I actually do it too. I'll just ask my guys how they want me to do it, and I'll do it that way. Some people will shuffle. Whoa. I always see when this happens, when you get a group of cards, and it keeps happening to you when you go to shuffle, what that means to me, how it's communicated to me, is that the cards really want to speak. Okay, when I'm working on a client and all of a sudden when I go to shuffle and that happens where I get a whole grouping of cards that don't want to space out, generally the cards are really want to say something to that person. So, and then some people will just lay it down, set the intention, you know, what they want to have, and then they'll put the card, you know, off the top of the deck. So whatever works for you. Again, no right or wrong way. Okay, I call this deck, the style of this deck, the healing deck. Okay, the reason why I call it a healing deck is that when you go into the book, you'll have the, actually let's look up 39. A lot of times your oracle cards will have a number. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Can I get that? There it is. Whoops. On the title of the card. So then you would look up that number. Sometimes they don't have a number for the card, and then generally it's by alphabet order. So it might just say Ivory Wish Fulfilling Crow. Okay, and not have the number 39. So then you look under I and then through your book, and that's how you'll get it. So let's go into 39. Let's just see what 39 says. So here we go. So you have what the card means, the story behind the card, and then you'll have a reason why you got that card. And then the reason why I call this a healing deck is there's actually a healing process that you can do. Okay, it'll tell you to do a few different things. Most of my healing decks are from Elena Fairchild. I love her books, her oracle guidebooks, and her cards. I love the fact that they have the healing in them. I'm very bad at mantras and intentions and stuff like that, so this really helps me out. So this is one of hers. Another one is the Sacred Rebels. Again, another oracle deck. Same thing. Again, Elena Fairchild. and her cards. You know, everyone's different. Oh, these, you know, beautiful deck. This was, I think, like my third deck I got. And it was funny because when I first got this deck, I really wasn't feeling it. And I think the reason why I wasn't feeling it was this deck in particular, I look at the pictures. And the pictures assist me with my intuition. What I'll do is, if I pull this, if I'm drawn to this deck of cards for my client, I'll ask my guides, is the message on the card, the picture, or is it in the book? And then my guides will usually come through and tell me that the message is in the picture. So when I bought this deck initially, I didn't jive with it, and I think the reason for it was I didn't understand that part of my intuition yet. That part was just starting to open up. So I think that's why this deck didn't resonate with me as much. But now I use this deck quite a bit. It's very, yeah, it is again one of my favorites. But at first it wasn't. So there's always a reason why we get the decks we want. But again, you look up the 37 and you would go into the book and you would find 37. Focus on the lights, read about the card, and then you have a healing process here. This one's a shorter healing process. There is no set amount of cards that you can pull. I usually will ask my guides. I'll see a number 2 or 3. Generally it's 3 cards they'll ask me to pull. I use these healing cards a lot during a full moon and a new moon. I believe it's a good time. It puts me into, it forces me to do some healing work on myself. And I'm very bad with mantras and intentions, things like that. So they're already set for me. She also has the wild Kuan Yin. I'm very, Kuan Yin is definitely a favorite of mine for Ascended Masters, if you believe in that. She has come through with several of my clients while I work on them. So again, these cards are actually pretty cool because Elena actually does them a little bit different. So you have some that are like landscapes, and then you have some that are up, horizontal. So this is actually a very super cool deck. I love this. And then again, the healing process. She'll put in here, tell you about the card, and then you read the healing process. So another deck of cards that I like to do on the full moon and the new moons. Okay. And they come all different. This is another one that I love, Earth Warriors. I've been I've been doing a lot of assignments on ancestral healing for the earth. So this deck has come to me to do some different assistance with healing, not only for the earth, but also for myself, my ancestral. So again, the same thing. There's your number, and then you would just look it up. This deck, I do use both, the book and the messages, the cards, what's in the cards. Very bright, beautiful cards, again, by Elena Fairchild. I actually met the artist who did these cards in Kauai, and she lives there. So it's very cool meeting her. The next type of oracle cards is, let me put these aside, is guidance, what I consider guidance decks. And this one here is Colette Baron Reed, the Enchanted Map Oracle cards. This is actually my second deck that I bought. And I love this one because it assists you in giving you a sense of direction. That's what it was designed for. Okay. So this one you have the number again, so you would look it up in the book, and it tells you strength. This deck of cards really helped me bring my intuition forward. Okay. You'll have people who sit there and tell you, oh, I don't use cards. I don't need cards. You don't feel like you're any less of a healer or a spiritual or a worker. These are merely tools again, everyone has their own way of learning. Everyone has their own way of experiencing things. So for me, these assisted me in building my intuition, actually practicing with these and using them. They actually assisted me to bring my intuition, but they're very beautiful. And this deck is specifically more to give you direction, okay? There is a guidebook again, it's just like this one. And, you know, some cards, it makes a difference whether you pull them and they're upside down or right side up, okay? And in this deck, it does make a difference. You have an upright, and then you have a reverse, which would be, you know, upside down. This card would be this way, would be reversed. Generally, reverse just means that pay attention. It's not bad to get, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's upside down. Oh, that's a bad thing. No. It just means that you need to, it's a card that you need to pay special attention to. Okay? That's really all it means. It's just an important, and it's just, your guides are just trying to get you to really understand something. Okay? Again, for this deck of cards, I just basically ask my guides, what is it that I need to know for my client or for me, whatever I'm doing. Generally, again, my guides request me to pull 3 cards. It's a general that I do. But that's another type of oracle cards. Oracle cards are mainly to give you guidance, instructions. Again, except for the ones that are like, I call them the healing cards. Then we have this is again Colette Baron. I do have my favorite tarots, but I highly suggest that if you get 2 different decks, oracle decks, definitely get an animal deck if you can. I find that for whatever reason, at least for me, I connect very strongly with the animal spirits. And this is definitely a beautiful deck. So again, this one's a guidance. You know, you have the armadillo, set healthy boundaries. Again, they do it by the number of the cards, which you'll see. When I say intuition, for example, I was doing a reading for someone, and she was asking me whether her boyfriend was, what she felt. What did I see for the boyfriend, is what she basically asked me. So one of the cards I happened to pull was this card. So this is how I'm going to show you how my intuition worked. When I asked, was the message in the card or was it in the book? I received the message, it was the card. So I sat there and I looked at the card. And the first thing I noticed, usually you'll be drawn, whatever you're drawn to, the first thing you're drawn to, it's not by chance. There's something about that. Very important, at least for me, okay? This is how I use these cards intuitively. So first thing that drew my attention was the fact that the ants there were 2 of them. So she was asking me about a boyfriend and her. So that made sense. There's 2. But look at them. They're both going the opposite direction. They're both doing their own thing. And then the 3 puzzle pieces, each one puzzle piece represents them doing their own thing. And the one in the middle is kind of cockeye. So they have difficulty collaborating things. Okay, the card says time to collaborate, but you know it's tilted on its side. It's not very stable. What the girl at the time, she was very set in her ways. She had a very professional job. Her boyfriend at the time was not. He was kind of in between jobs. It was a job that he wouldn't have for a very long time. So for me, that represented she was on solid ground. Her puzzle piece is the one that's facing her. It's solid. You see it. It's perfectly. And then this one, which is in front of this ant. Sorry, my camera's going in and out. You see how that puzzle piece is cockeye. So that's how, when I say that I use the cards, I'll ask the guides whether it's the card or is it the message in the book. And that's just one example. The more and more I used them, the stronger my intuition got. So it's been a nice practice tool for me to use. Okay. Again, I erased you the book. There's the reversed. So she does the reverse also. The protection, she calls it protection message, is the reversed one. Every one of these books inside generally have a note from an introduction from the author. And they tell you, they give you different samples of layouts that you can do, or how they ask you to how the cards work. Do you have to follow that? No, you don't have to follow it. You have to, as you get more and more into the cards, you're going to know what works for you. Again, everyone's an individual. Just because one way works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay? So just bear that in mind. Let's see here. Here's another animal deck that I have. This one is very oracle. This one's very simple. As you can see, the peacock, fox, and on the bottom, what it means, beauty, completeness. These I generally find, I will use this to assist me in connecting to someone's spirit guides, their animal guides. If I'm stuck and I'm having trouble seeing their spirit animal or whatever, I'll pull this deck. This is my deck that I pull. If you notice, there is no number on these cards. So what you have to do is you have to go, and this one's actually under classifications. Makes it kind of harder, but there's a little cheat sheet in the beginning. The contents are different. So it tells you these animals are categorized as earth animals, water animals, spirits, air spirits, fire spirits. So we have the peacock. So then you just look up the peacock. And the peacock is an air spirit. So then I would look up page 93, an air sign, which makes sense because I'm an air sign. And then I just read this. It gives you the scientific, spiritual power, beauty, completeness. And then you just read this one. The other thing I do is, if I'm doing an oracle card for someone and they're telling me it's in the book, and they'll be like, I read it and it just doesn't quite resonate with me, but one sentence may. I know when I read that sentence, if that sentence resonates, that's the meaning of the card for that person. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So if I'm reading the message and I'm feeling, I don't know about this, and then I read one sentence, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, this sentence stood out to me, or this word stood out. Pay attention as you're reading it, what word or what sentence stands out, and that's another way you can tell what that card means to you or to the person you're doing the reading for. Okay. Yeah. There are some yes and no cards out there. This one happens to be Angel Answers by Radley. I don't know how you pronounce that. Valentine. This is just a quick, kind of a fun little deck. Basically, you ask. These are more asking questions cards. And so, they have forgiveness, helpful people. So these are just general question cards that you can ask. Okay. Listen to your intuition. No need to worry. So if I asked, hey, am I going to have the money to pay for the bills next week? Who knows, something, and then the card comes, no need to worry. Okay, fine, no need to worry. But, again, these are all open up to interpretations, just very simple cards. There's yes and no cards in here. There's the yes card. If you ask a question itself. I don't really use this deck very often. Again, I usually just set the intention, whatever it is that I need to know. But it has been helpful in trying to make a decision on some things. And then, again, it tells you the book, Success, you would look up, and read about it. So these are Angel Oracle cards. So if you have people that are religious and feel that Oracle cards and Tarot cards are bad, there are a wide variety of different Oracle cards that you can purchase that are more geared towards the angelic realm. So if you feel a little bit better about purchasing something like that versus, something like this, then there's options for you. One other deck I'm gonna actually have a couple. I'm gonna have to do this in two parts. This one is another one. You'll have some Oracle cards where they're just affirmations, daily affirmations. This is one deck that I have. This is again a Colette Baron card. It's pretty straightforward. These are designed to look like postcards, and they're just messages from Spirit, God, your spirit guides, source, and they're just to get you whatever. There's no religious denomination, whatever you call your higher power, source, God, creator, whatever. So yeah, and you can pull one of these cards every day if you wanted to. There's those kinds of cards. A lot of times they're called affirmation cards. You'll see those where you just have an affirmation a day and you read that over and over again. You're telling the universe what it is you want to manifest. This is an interesting deck, the Wild Unknown Alchemy. I had a hard time using this deck in the beginning. This is another deck that I bought it. I was excited. I couldn't wait for it. What I discovered was I was trying to do it. Sorry. It's a very cool deck, actually. The cards come with a really nice box. The cards are actually, as you can see, different shaped. And again, it's using the alchemy. You have your guidebook here. What I discovered was I tried doing the layouts that the author, Kim Kranz had suggested, and I found that it just didn't jive with me. So I was guided about 2 months ago, I guess, to pull this deck out and start to play with it. So I pulled it out, and what works for me in this deck was I do what is my obstacle in the now and what is my obstacle in the future in the next 3 weeks. I don't, I'll set a time limit or something. And then these cards are a little difficult to shuffle, but you'll figure it out. But that's the other thing. You'll be guided. I didn't touch these cards because it didn't jive with me with how the creator of these cards suggested they be used. But when I started to do it in my way, I absolutely love these cards now. So, yeah, they're actually a very, very cool deck. It's making me having to remember my Roman numerals. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting deck. But again, I set these aside. I was so excited to get them, but I just couldn't find them working for me. I just wasn't forming a connection with them. And then about 2 months ago, my guides guide me to pull them again and retry them. And I discovered that for me, how I use these cards is by asking those 2 questions, and then I just pull 2 cards. And if I want clarity, then I'll pull another card. But yeah, so that was pretty interesting experience with these cards, and now I love them. So once I figured out how they worked for me, they've been great. So just a deck that I found, actually my partner found these. Give Dennis credit, he's the finder of things, is I Ching. I Ching is very different, okay? There's a book out there. There's also, you can do I Ching using the sticks. There's these sticks that are about this long that you can use. There's a whole book written on how to use them. but you can also cheat a little bit and use the I Ching Oracle deck, which I actually really love. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated, and if you want, I can do a more close. You're struggling with I Ching, just message me and I can explain this a little bit better for you. But basically, for these cards, you pull 2 cards. Okay, you'll see the pictures. These are definitely, I'm drawn to both sometimes, the pictures and the message in the book. But you'll see how they, let's see if I can get that to focus. There you go. So you'll see that they have lines on them. Okay, so I Ching basically, it's more of a daily advice, very practical advice they give. Okay, and you would pull 2 of the cards, and then you go to the book, and those lines, again, this is complicated, but you would match up the lines with the first card, and there are 16, and then you would read on it, and the book gives you explanations. I love this deck for daily use. Okay, there's been about a month ago, I was having a lot of family stuff that was going on. I had some things that I just wasn't really sure of. Was I going in the right direction or not? And these cards were very good at giving me direction and assisting me. So I Ching may be a really good one to look into if you're asking for more daily assistance. So yeah, I think that is it for me. That's all my knowledge that I have on Oracle cards and how I use them. I hope I explained it enough. If I didn't, please, send me a comment, or my email address is below. You can send me your question by email. If you have an experience or you have a different way of using the cards, please post it in the comments. Again, there is no right or wrong way to doing tarot or oracles. So this is just how they work for me. Again, these are just tools. They are great tools if you're beginning to open up your intuition, your third eye. These will help to stimulate your intuition. And again, do not feel that this is something, it goes against. It's the stigma. There seems to be a stigma. No, there is no stigma on these. Okay, they're merely cards with some messages. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about Oracle cards. So my next video, I will do how I work with tarot cards. So if you need some assistance in discovering your life purpose, or you want to know where you're from, your soul originated from, different guides, things like that, just message me down below. I do Akashic record readings, and I'll be happy to assist you with that. And yeah, I think that's it. So till next time, bye.